Sathyabama Institute of Science and Technology.
I am Shree, Associate Professor, Department of Computer Science and Engineering, Sathyabama Institute of Science and Technology. Today I am going to present the topic Smart Sensor Utilization in IoT. Nowadays we are using our IoT devices everywhere. How the IoT devices are getting activated means by the use of smart sensor technology. So in this video we are going to see how this smart sensor is getting embedded in the IoT devices. So before seeing how the smart sensor is getting embedded into the IoT devices, first we will see what is meant by IoT. So which is nothing but the Internet of Things, where the devices are interconnected with each other and they can able to share the data by the use of internet. So the IoT devices where we are using means in everyday household devices as well as in the industrial sites. So we are having the sensors, softwares and some other hardwares in order to communicate the data with the cloud and with the outside devices. So IoT in the real world, we are having the IoT devices as smart homes, smart factories, transportation and logistics as well as in agriculture. So smart homes, we are having heating system, lighting system, alert system, so in our homes. So smart factories, all the factories are now automated with the use of IoT devices. Next one is the transportation and logistics. In all the vehicles we are having the GPS system in order to track the vehicles. So in agriculture, the IoT devices are used to monitor the growth of the crops. So how the IoT system comes into the picture. So totally we are having 5 industrial revolutions. In the first industry 1.0, we used water and steam power in order to mechanization the product. In industry 2.0, we use the electrical power for the mass production. In industry 3.0, the IoT devices enters into the world along with the information technology. In industry 4.0, the IoT and the machine learning comes into the picture, and now we are in industry 5.0 where the IoT devices we are using as a day-to-day device. So next one we are going to see in detail about the smart sensor. So what does the smart sensor means, which is nothing but a device. It takes the input from the physical environment and by using the built-in resources, it processes the data and produces the output based on the input what it is having. So actually the smart sensor is having a device called a transducer which converts one form of energy into another form of energy. So for example, if you are using our mobile phone, there the audio system is converted into electrical signal in the in the sender side. So in the receiver side, again the electrical signal is converted into audio signal. So that is the purpose of transducer. So in smart sensor, the transducer is used to get the data from the outside world. It is going to process the data and transfers the data over the network. That is the purpose of transducer in smart sensor. By using this transducer, we can analyze the data and transfer it over to the network. So next one is, what is the difference between a normal sensor and a smart sensor? So normal sensor, which is nothing but a basic device. So which is nothing but it is used to measure temperature, pressure and motion and converts them into a electrical signal. Whereas the smart sensor having a decision making ability. Next one, so in case of data processing, the normal sensor just it gives the output the data as a raw data. But whenever if we go for a smart sensor, it processes the data before transmitting it. So the components, the normal sensor consists of one sensing element and a electrical signal converter, whereas the smart sensor comprises of sensor, microprocessor and the communication devices. So if you go for the power efficiency, the normal sensor it requires less power, but if you go for the smart sensor, it requires more power. So based on the connectivity, the normal sensor is a standalone device. But if you go for a smart sensor, it is connected to the IoT devices, through that we can communicate with other devices. Next one, based on the communication, here we are using only the analog or basic digital signals. But if you go for a smart sensor, there we are using Wi-Fi, Bluetooth and Zigbee technologies. So the example for the normal sensor is the normal thermometer what we are using in our home to measure the temperature. So if you go for a smart sensor, the best example is a thermostat, again that also we are using in our household, that adjusts the temperature of the room based on the outside environment. So why we are going for the smart sensor? which is smaller in size, and it is easy to use, design and maintain, and the performance level is also very high, the communication speed, and it is very reliable. So it having the self calibration and the self assessment abilities, so it automatically notices about the switch failures or some other failures to us, so we can able to store our data in the smart sensors. So what this IoT sensor comprises of? It comprises of a sensor, a microprocessor and a communication capabilities which includes RFID, Bluetooth, Zigbee, etc. So next one, it consists of a transducer and transceivers, and through the IoT gateway we are communicating it through the cloud. So how the smart sensor works? So the smart sensor consists of a sensing unit. It senses the data from the physical environment and it gives this as a input to the signal conditioning. So what this signal conditioning will do means it processes the input signal based on the output to the next module. The analog and digital conversion, it converts the analog signal to the digital signal. Then by using the algorithm what we have loaded based on the application of the sensor, the algorithm varies. So based on the algorithm, so it processes the data and communicate to the outside world. So here we are having a local user interface which is shortly called it as LUI, which is a panel mounted one where the user can interact with the system, and we are having a memory where we can store all our data. So next one, we are going to see what are all the different types of smart sensors. So these are all the different types of sensors. We are having level sensors, temperature sensor, proximity sensor, pressure sensors, etc. We are going to see one by one. So the first one is a level sensor. The level sensor which is used to monitor the level of the liquid. So again we are having two types of level sensors. One is point level sensor and another one is continuous level sensor. So what is this point level sensor means? Here we can maintain the level of a liquid to a particular point. For example, in our home, in the motor system, we can have this point level sensor. When the water level in the tank reaches a particular point, the motor will get switch off automatically, right? So that is the use of point level sensor. Next one is a continuous level sensor, which is used to monitor the level of the liquid to a particular level. So that is the continuous level sensor. So next one is a temperature sensor. The temperature sensor which is used to measure the temperature. For example, we can measure the temperature of a solid, liquid, gas, anything. So the temperature sensor where we are using means we are using in our household devices, in industries, etc. Right? So next one is a pressure sensor. The pressure sensor which is used to measure the pressure, which is especially used in the gas pipeline, which is used to measure the pressure of a gas. So next one is the infrared sensor. So the infrared sensor which is used to measure the motion of an object as well as the heat emitting by the particular object. So here we are using IR LED as a transmitter and IR photodiode as a receiver. So we can detect the night vision images as well as the radiation thermometers, IR tracking and IR imaging are some of the uses of this infrared sensors. So next one is the proximity sensor. The proximity sensor which is used to detect the objects in the surrounding area without contacting them. For example, in our automobile system, we are having this proximity sensor. When we are taking the reverse, at that time we are getting the alert system when the vehicle is going to collide with the wall. So in such type we are using for this proximity sensor. Next one is the air quality detection sensor. This air quality detection sensor which is used to measure the quality of the air. It measures the level of carbon dioxide which is present in the air. So next one is the motion sensor. So motion sensor, we are having the automated doors, right? So if you are going near the doors will get open automatically. How means? By means of this motion sensor. The motion sensor detects the movement of the object, based on that it opens the doors. So smart planet sensor. So this sensor is getting embedded with the plant so that we can monitor the growth of the plant, the condition of the plant, the condition of the leaves. So whether we need to take some steps for the growth of the plant, for that we are going for this smart plant sensors. Next one is a smart climate sensors. So the smart climate sensor which is used to detect the weather conditions, which will be very useful in the irrigation systems. So what are all the key challenges in IoT and smart sensor implementation means? The first one is the protecting data privacy, because we are storing all the data in the cloud. So the data privacy is very important in the IoT devices. And the next one is expanding the IoT system. Suppose we are embedding n number of IoT system, means we have to take properly how the system is embedded, whether we are having all the components. We have to take care of everything, then only we can able to expand the IoT systems. Next one is the power management, which is nothing but if you are installing the sensor in some remote places, means definitely there should be a proper backup. Okay, so for example, you are installing a sensor in a forest area, means definitely you have to be a battery. Okay, so then only we can manage the power system, and the cost is also very high when compared to that of the normal sensors. So the disadvantages of the smart sensor is it needs both sensors and actuators. A normal sensor means it just need only sensors alone, but here we are needing both sensors and actuators, because based on the data what it is sensing, it has to do some physical activities, right? So here we need both sensors and actuators. The sensor calibration is to be managed by some external processor. So as I already told, this is very costly. So the Internet of Things could not exist without the smart sensors. Thank you.